Hello, good evening, and welcome to The Impact. I am your host, Brian Marvin K. Sithole. Now, Zimbabwe recently joined the rest of the world in commemorating a very important week, a week that makes us reflect on issues to do with childcare and the raising of children. And this was the Global Kinship Care Week. It's a week where the world comes together to look at the advantages of raising a child within a family setup, of ensuring that a child is raised by relatives, by their own kin, as opposed to the popular institutionalization of children. One organization that is really pushing for kinship care in the country is the Farm Orphan Support Trust, or FOST in short, and I'm going to be having a conversation with them on the subject, and I am joined in the studio by the program's coordinator, Mr. Mason Matova. Good evening, sir, and welcome to ZiFM Stereo.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you.
I'm also happy to have Rumbidzai Chingandu, who is the knowledge management officer at FOST. Good evening, Rumbidzai, and welcome to ZiFM Stereo.
Thank you, Brian. Good evening, listeners.
Great. It's good to have you joining me for this conversation. Now, let's just start by understanding the Farm Orphan Support Trust, or FOST. What exactly do you do as an organization? And just tell us a little bit about it.
Thank you, Brian. Farm Orphan Support Trust is a child protection program, a child protection organization that operates within the Mashonaland provinces of Mashonaland West, Mashonaland Central, and the Manicaland provinces. And our job evolves around empowering communities and building resilience among communities to be able to look after and care for their children. More focus is basically on orphans and vulnerable children who basically live in highly vulnerable households. And we'll discuss about which are these highly vulnerable households as we discuss. But basically our main focus is child protection.
All right. You have mentioned a few provinces. I've got 10 of them, but you are only in a few. How did you come up with those? Why is it that you're operating in those specific provinces?
The basis of deciding where to work is dependent on the needs of the communities, as well as also on the researches that we also conduct and also other researches that are being conducted in the country. We've been a very close ally of UNICEF, as you are aware, and we also follow a lot of research work and reports, especially the ZIM-like assessment reports, which actually indicate to us the needy districts and the needy areas. And the reports actually indicate the importance of child protection in those areas, what is happening, the effects of issues that the children are facing at household level. And then we then decide to go to those particular districts where we then team up with government departments in that regard.
All right, now let me also bring Rumbidzai into the conversation. Let's talk about the work that FOST is seized with. I know that Mason has talked about the fact that you are a child protection organization. That is what you specialize in. But what other programs are you currently implementing as an organization?
Thank you very much, Brian. So as you know, in most of our work, we focus on the child. So we want to look into what works best for the child. That is, we are implementing programs around community strengthening and family strengthening. We're also into advocacy. We're advocating for kinship care as well as the prevention of sexual violence affecting boys. If you recall, we're here, I think a few months ago, whereby we were also discussing how best we can protect boys from sexual violence. We are also working on improving livelihoods, addressing climate change through things like Pfumvudza, for instance, implementing that within our communities. So we're looking at the child holistically, how community gardens can actually help fend for children within schools, within different communities. And we're also looking into environmental health through protecting communities through hygiene and health promotion. So that's the basic work that we're doing as an organization.
All right, you've brought up something that I just want us to touch on as we move on to our main theme for the day, which is the Global Kinship Care Week, the issue of protection of the boy child. Are you happy with the legislation that we currently have? Where are the gaps? Because a lot of times we hear that, our legislation seems to favor the girl child. If a boy child is abused, sometimes they don't get as much attention as does the girl child. What can be done to improve this?
Okay, you can go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. What I wanted to basically state is that our country, Zimbabwe, has got a very robust child protection legal system.
Yeah.
And it's very important that we understand that the laws that we have in the country do cover and protect children equally. But of course, there are also other, gaps and emerging trends that also come by. And one of them is the skewedness of the application of the laws in terms of the girl child. And in the process, we lose the boy child. And what we have then realized as an organization is to prop up awareness to ensure that the boy child is also protected equally, as it is rightly within the legal system of the country. So we have done quite a lot of research work around the boy child, and also came up with some of the gaps that we think the legislators and the policymakers can also look at, and also try to make sure that the boy child is equally protected against sexual violence, the same as the girl child.
All right, it's important that people get that awareness, because like you're saying, mitemo iripo, the laws are there, but sometimes people are just not aware. Do you want to add something, Rumbi?
Well, yes, I was just going to say that we also wouldn't want to preempt the research that we've already conducted, but I think it will actually organize for a day that will come back and share the research that we've conducted within this year, that will also delve into these issues that you are bringing up on the protection of boys per se.
All right, looking forward to that conversation. I think it's something that everybody wants to hear about, because sometimes boys end up not even reporting abuse because of that. So looking forward to that conversation that we'll have. However, we are here to talk about the Global Kinship Care Week. I understand that there's some commemorations that you as an organization also spearheaded. But before we get to all that, can you just take us through the importance of kinship care? Why is it that it's important for us to even be talking about this issue? Maybe we can just start by defining it. What is kinship care?
Yeah, you have already defined it, Brian, when you started this program, and I just want to reiterate that kinship care is the process of protecting children within the family system, and sometimes within the acquaintances or friends of the family, depending on the availability of the family members. But what we are also talking about here is that we want to entrench the importance of looking after our own children within our own families. And that would then make sure that our children would grow within a familiar environment, within a traditional and religious environment. And resultantly, we know that when a child grows within that particular situation or environment, the child is able to grow and realize his or her potential.
All right. You have mentioned the importance of ensuring that Mana is within the family, or I didn't even know it stretches to even friends of the family. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yes, definitely it does, because panemadzisawira, if we may call them that, that become part of the family. And sometimes when the family is incapacitated to take care of a certain child, kana mai vangu vainasawira wavanoconsider kuti this woman can take care of my child better than my relatives, then why not? Because they share sometimes the same values as those that direct parent shares. But definitely the first option is the direct family or the direct extended family. Then we go on to the friends of the family. Yeah.
All right. And while we're still on that, growing up, we're used to institutions where children would get into. You had your orphanages, you had institutions of that kind. What are some of the challenges that come with raising children in such an environment?
It has been realized that, children growing out of the family system are exposed to so many challenges that they are not able to manage. And one of them, when a child is out of his family system, is open to abuse, is also open to drugs and alcohol abuse, is open to sexual abuse, is open to all forms of abuse. But within a family setting, then the child is protected, equally, and the family members do take their time in terms of sharing love, and the environment is quite protective in that regard. So the difference in terms of institutionalization is that the child is not staying with their parents. It's not staying with the people that they love, that they know. So our idea is to bring the child within the family system where the child is loved, where the child is protected, where the child is looked at on a day-to-day basis.
And where they share the same values and culture as well, that protects them, their religion, so to speak. If I'm Catholic, then Mana will remain Catholic, so to speak. So, yeah.
All right, there's that consideration of values. But, one of the issues that always comes up when you talk about care, about who's going to take care of a child. Let's take, for instance, an orphan. Somebody has lost both parents and... who's going to cater for the fees, who's going to do all this. Sometimes it becomes an issue that eventually drives children to care homes because nobody in the family can afford, honestly, to take care of the child. Okay, what role would government play then to ensure that these children can still be with their families and still have their welfare taken care of, since government is the primary is the one that is primarily responsible for children?
Yeah.
You are right, Brian, that every child belongs to the government, and in that scenario where the child is facing such hardships, obviously everyone looks at the government to be protective and to provide the necessary means to care for the child. And this process, or this advocacy campaign that we are undertaking, is also a realization that we need the government. We are calling upon the government to recognize kinship care as one of the most important alternative care models that we have in the country. And it's also easier for the government to support kinship care arrangements, and also include kinship care as part of social grant systems that the government has, and that can only be done when the right policies are put in place. We are quite excited that the government has gone further to repeal or revise the orphan care policy.
Yeah.
Now they have a brand new policy that is called the National Care and Protection for Children Without Parental Care, which I think has now recognized kinship care as one of the best alternative models that children can live and be protected against. It can be protected.
All right. Anything to add, Rumbi?
Yeah, I think basically what we're now asking the government to assist those that take care of children is families to then contribute to in such a way that they help capacitate the direct person. It's usually Vanana Gogo who then take it upon themselves to take care of the orphans or whoever family who do not have anyone to take care of them. So we're just calling upon government to actually have a contribution order in place for those specific people. Yeah,
because Brian, when we had a discussion with grandmothers in Bema Valley, it was very clear that the grandmothers do have children who are working out in the country. Right. And some are even in the diaspora.
Yeah.
But they've literally dumped, if I could use that word, dumped their children within the care of grandparents. But they are not contributing anything. And those children are facing a lot of hardships. Yeah. Some of them are not going to school. Some of them do not have food, enough food in the home. But their parents are still alive. And we want we are encouraging the government to put up a legislation or a policy that would then encourage the biological parents to contribute towards the raising of their children, so that it's not only the government that is going to be providing this service. We want the parents to be part and parcel of also looking after their own children.
All right, and it's something that Mason, I remember last year we went to Foothills together in Mashonaland Central.
Yeah.
We came across this problem as well, where a lot of grandparents are talking about this. But you bring in a very interesting dynamic, that of parents who are actually alive. Some of them are actually in the country.
Yeah.
Are grandparents aware of the maintenance law that you can also go and claim it from your own child? Is this something that these who are taking care of children are aware of?
No, they are not aware. This is one of the biggest gaps that we have in terms of, and I remember that during the last scoping study, that we did in 2020, one of the recommendations was to create a lot of awareness on kinship care, so that grandmothers and those caregivers who are looking after children are able to understand even the legal, provisions that assist them to be able to get support. And it's very unfortunate that at the moment information is still very lacking within communities. And as an organization, we are trying to create a lot of awareness around those gaps, so that communities can understand and what the provisions are in terms of them being able to protect their own children.
Right, it is your show, The Impact. I'm your host, Brian Marvin K. Sithole, and tonight we are talking about issues to do with kinship care. This is coming from the background of us having commemorated the Global Kinship Care Week, and the Farm Orphan Support Trust commemorated this event in Burma Valley, which is in Vumba, Mutare District, Manicaland Province. Now let's talk about that. I know Mason had already started giving us some bit of information on what happened. What were the highlights of this year's commemoration?
Before my colleague comes in, I just wanted to say that, Brian, this is our second year commemorating the Global Kinship Care Week, and it's a brainchild of a global alliance that we are part of as FOST, which is called Family for Every Child. And this year's theme is resonating on family strengthening, because I think it's very important that we also explore how families should continue to be together, how families should continue to gel and remain united, so that they also share the burden of looking after children. They also share the love. They also share the values with their children. And we are looking at this theme, trying to remove children from the streets, trying to remove children from abuse, all forms of abuse, and ensure that children continue to be protected by their own families. And our Global Kinship Care Week, which is the 6th to the 12th of October, we had a series of activities that we did, and we chose to go to Manicaland and the Mutare District in particular, which is Burma Valley, and did a lot of activities with the communities in that regard. And my colleague would then take over from there.
All right. Rumbidzai, you were there.
Well, I think it was great interacting Nana Gogo. So one of the focus group discussions had mainly Nana Gogo, but also, you then have my community leaders, the chief and or his representation, so to speak, who availed us a place to actually discuss these matters in terms of how best do we then take care and protect the family setup in itself, because as you can see, Mazwano, there's a lot of things that are targeting the family to just distract it or destroy it rather. We had engagements with teachers, as the co-parenters, teachers from Kaswa and teachers from Mazonwe. We also managed to discuss their perspectives on their observations of children that are within kinship care and even those that are outside it, but hear out what they reflect about when they are teaching. They even contributed about how from their observations children tend to sort of select themselves, or rather to alienate themselves from everyone else, because they know that probably they don't have parents anymore, they don't have enough resources, and Gogo has to always be asking around to to help fend for the family. You can tell by their uniforms, for instance. You can always tell there are things that they look at that highlight that this child is living under kinship care. But also, one thing that I remember being highlighted, especially from the children, because we had discussions with children as well, was the love that they feel when they live within kinship care, the support they have. Zvinogona kuvarwadza hazvo kuti vabereki havasisipo, but definitely gogo's love is always precious. Gogo goes the extra mile to fend for them. So pamwe pachona, they were talking about how they go on into maricho to just help. Kana kunokumbira headmaster, musandidzingiro mwana wangu. I'm doing the best that I can to help fend for the family. So there were different perspectives, so to speak. We also had a mobile awareness campaign that with a mobile truck that was just sharing information on supporting kinship care, on the benefits of kinship care, as well as the support needs of kinship care carers, as well as the children that are living within kinship care. And I think those were some of the highlights that we had from the Manicaland province.
Right, I'm getting a very good vibe here about the efforts that we're making as a country, and in terms of ensuring that kinship care is successful. I like the word, the phrase that you used, ensuring that we protect the family. The family seems to be protected. So, what are some of the things that we are doing well, based on your experience in Burma Valley and also learning from other jurisdictions? What is it that we are doing well as a country in terms of strengthening or supporting or protecting the family, based on your experience?
I think we are doing quite a lot in terms of having the families protected and also supporting the families. For example, as FOST, we have a strong household building resilience program that we also actually conduct. We have a very strong community support program that we call the self-help group approach, where we bring in women together and create safe spaces, platforms of safe spaces where they discuss issues, they share knowledge, they share love, they also share, and also resolve conflicts that they are also facing on a day-to-day basis. I think the government is also doing quite a lot in terms of providing the social grants through the Department of Social Development, and they are also getting free, for example, medical services from government, especially the aged. This brings me to talk about the grandmothers themselves, Brian, that you are aware that during the scoping study that we did in 2020, it was very clear that over 90% of children that are being cared for in Zimbabwe are being cared for within the kinship care arrangement. And of those, 60% are directly being looked after by grandmothers. And my grandmother is doing quite a lot. And but despite their aging, despite their health status, they are doing quite a lot. They have a big love, they have a big heart for the children. But what they lack is direct support. What they lack is psychosocial support. So we need to focus on those issues so that we continue to ensure that our grandmothers are strong, they are focused, they continue to pour their love to our children. And the government, and as well as ourselves as partners, we must work together and strengthen a lot of family strengthening in our systems. For example, if we want to look at family level, we have family strengthening activities that we have since dropped, or which are not now being recognized as very important. For example, my birthday, Evana. I know because of the economic environment, but I think those are some of the issues that should bring families together. Tinema birthday, Evana, tinema tombstone unveiling, tinema Christmas visits, tinema passage of rights activities that we need to continue doing those things so that the families continue to be united, the families continue to share love and glory. You are also aware that our advocacy campaign is still continuing, and recently we held what we call a grandmother celebration day, which we did in the country, and that brought in grandmothers from Mutare, Mutasa, Zvimba, and Bindura. We also invited grandmothers from Harare. We also invited grandmothers from Masvingo. So, and we were very excited that we also got the highest government representation, because that event was graced by the Deputy Minister of Public Service, Labour and Social Welfare, Mrs. Mercy Maruvadina, who came in to give support, to give psychological support, and also and assure the grandmothers that government is doing a lot in terms of trying to improve their welfare, so that they are able to look after the children better.
Wow. Amazing, Rumbi.
I just wanted to add on to one thing. I think recently we were discussing with Mason about how government has an initiative within our different communities on disability inclusion, whereby within they conduct what they call villages, whereby when you are taking mana for rehab, both parents are encouraged to be there. Whilst they might not discriminate, kuti hauna kuya na baba, we are not going to help you, but it is highly encouraged that both parents are there so that they are all able to take care of their child. So I think it's one of the things that we can applaud the government for doing right by the people as well.
Right. Great initiatives coming from the government, and it's amazing to see all the work that is happening in terms of kinship care. Now, as we conclude the show, as we come to the end of this conversation, I'm glad we'll be having another one very soon around the issue of the rights of the boy child. What are your key messages, the key takeaways that you would want our viewers and listeners to take from this?
The takeaway that I want to provide to this program is that we want to continue encouraging our government to recognize kinship care as a family strengthening strategy. I think it's a very important aspect, and it takes quite a long time, but I think we have already started engaging government. We have already crafted the Global Kinship Care guidance, which we, as FOST, we have participated quite a lot in terms of consulting with the communities, with the children, and it will be easier for us now to work with government and try and develop what we call the National Kinship Care Guidelines. This will be the cornerstone of and the roadmap of how the government would then show its commitment in terms of looking after the children, more so supporting the caregivers that are also have the burden of looking after these children.
Right. Rumbi, your parting shot.
My parting shot will be children are better protected within their families. Well, whilst we have other options, but we should consider everything that can strengthen the family. So as parents, as aunts, as uncles, let's do everything that can strengthen our families such that they are well protected, our children are well protected. Thank you. And for followership, you can follow us as FOST on Facebook as at FOST Zimbabwe. On Twitter it's also, or X rather, at FOST Zimbabwe, and our YouTube channel has the same name at FOST Zimbabwe. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming through. This reminds me of what we always say in Shona when somebody gives birth. Panonzi makorokoto zvinonzi ndedu tese handiti. So kana mwana azvarwa ndewedu tose mhuri sematsawira, as has been mentioned, children are better off being raised within a family environment, thus showing the importance of kinship care. Wherever we can, let us support. And also, I think it's something that we really need to consider. Let's make sure that our children's welfare is taken care of. It's very important that we as parents do our part. Unfortunately, it's all the time that we had for this conversation. I'd like to thank my two guests, Mason, who was here in the studio, as well as Rumbidzai from Farm Orphan Support Trust, or FOST. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming through and having this conversation with me.
Thank you so much, Brian.
That's all we have time for. Goodbye.
Goodbye.